Black man, black fam, black fam. Welcome to Black Dad Code, where everything we do before family, nothing before family. I'm Kelly Major, America, 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 your favorite guy from Major High. And I'm gonna be a part of this here new movement called Black Dad Code, where we will be defining what it is to be a black dad in America today and covering several issues. I myself, I'm a sole custody dad. I have sole custody of my daughter. So I'm representing for the dads out there who have sole custody. We up in here. I will be your voice.
My name is Kevin Bailey, and I am a stepfather, and I also have my own child. So I'll be able to give you a perspective coming from a stepdad point of view, and just being able to become that blended family, as we say. So.
And I'm Charles Williams, and I'm the COO of Green Room Enterprises, Chief Operating Officer, and I'm going to be touching on guys who have kids by multiple women. So I have 10 kids by 7 different women. So I'm going to be touching on the futures, the young thugs, the people who have different kids by different females, and how to deal with those females and those in that area. And this is Black Dad Code.
And we decided to start Black Dad Code because I just went through my custody and getting my daughter, and other friends going through it. And then we just started talking as men, and we realized nobody is talking about how to improve the black community as far as bringing the black dads into the family, and what is Black Dad Code, what goes against Black Dad Code, the different aspects of custody, visitation, financial literacy, college funds, wills, discipline, grooming, just all the different aspects of being a father. And so we decided it's time that somebody brings that to him, that brings that to the surface.
To the table.
So, Black Dad Code is going to explore those issues, and we're going to take on every aspect of being a black father in today's America.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, Kelly, let's start with you though. You have a daughter, you're a single parent with a daughter, you have custody of your daughter. Tell us a little bit how it is as a black man raising a black female.
That's a good one. The first thing was I had to learn to tap into my soft side. You know what I'm saying? Be mushy, let her snuggle with me on the couch and tell me her stories and look at her nails and, watch girly movies and right. And it's just I got blessed a little bit because my daughter, she do like girly movies, but her favorite is horror movies. So I don't have to watch a bunch of pink Barbies, but I do gotta watch Blood, Guts, and Glory on.
Right. That's understandable. Yeah. Now, Kevin, tell us a little bit about your situation. You being a stepdad and also a father yourself.
So my situation, I was married previously, and then I got divorced. So during that time, I was a bachelor. Just kind of sold my oats, my roles, and just kind of see. So after that, I met my wife, and she was different. She actually reminded me of my mother. And when I met her, she just had this strong black woman feeling to it. I loved it. And so once I met her, I found out she had children. So, man, it scared me. I ain't gonna lie, because I didn't have kids.
You kind of took it back.
I raised my little brother, man, and that's different. But when you handling kids, man, it's different. So it's like, I think whenever you have your own, you kind of prepare yourself to get to that point. It's like, so when we met, it's like I knew I had genuine feelings for my wife and I loved her, but I didn't know how I would be as a father. So, man, it was rough at first, man. I made some mistakes and luckily, like I said, y'all learned from them, but I stayed there. I stayed committed to it. So, like I said, we are where we are. We're 10 years in now. We've been married for 5. We've been together for 10. But, man, I'm blessed. I'm just blessed to be where I am, blessed to have my partner, my wife, and like I said, I love my stepkids. My bonus babies.
Was there an ice-breaking moment where you think things went from, you know, I'm not really gelling to we family now?
You know, I will say once, because we all lived in Enid at one point, and then we moved down here to Tulsa, and so we were kind of away from her mom and her family, and I was away from my family, and so we had to become just tight because we just had us, and so just depending on us, and just I think that's when we really kind of gelled as being just a family like that. So yeah. So Kel, Charles, tell us about your situation, just your background.
Well, my background is, like I said, I have 10 different kids by 7 women. You know, and this, in the beginning, you know, growing up, it was a struggle, you know, because I did some time in prison in California and Arizona, where I was away from the kids for, you know, probably a 3-4 year span. So that was kind of rough on the kids, and then you know, the baby mamas. I don't really want to use that as what am I trying to say here? Excuse or how to, you know, introduce them into this. Just people that I was involved with back in the days, and I'm still close with all those women, and I'm really close with all the kids that I have now. You know, me and one of my sons, or a couple of my sons, we're in business together in a couple of different areas, as far as the dispensary area, the growing area, and as far as the music. So we're diving into all those, and I'm diving into those with some of my older sons. I also have a younger son that's the youngest. He's 9 years old, and he's, you know, kind of figuring himself out. And I have twins that are 15-year-olds, that's fraternal, a boy and a girl, and they attend Booker T. Washington here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which they're, you know, great students, great athletes, and they're, you know, just doing their thing. And the rest, those are the youngest kids that I have, and all the rest of the kids are grown, and, you know.
So question for you, Chuck. How old was you when you had your first child?
I was 21 when I had my first child. Yeah, and my first child, he's 37 years old, and I didn't know nothing about him until he was 12 years old, you know. So me and, you know, the female, we was together doing a little high school, little college thing. I can attest that we went to Dallas to live and to go to school, and she was going to college in Texas, and I was going to broadcasting school in Texas. And, you know, right before we got our own apartments and stuff like that, we were living in our cars for a little while. So we struggled, you know, my sister, her husband, we struggled, lived in the car for 2 or 3 nights until the apartment came through. But we got by that, but I got her pregnant and she never told me anything about it. I guess her father came through and said, "You're gonna marry her." And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna marry her." And when she told me that she was actually pregnant, and I thought they was gonna go abort the child, because that's what the father told me. Rest in peace. I think he's passed away now. But 12 years later, I was having, because I dove into music a little bit myself. So I have a couple of, CDs that I have out. And I was doing a CD release party with with my, one of my middle son's mother. We was doing a CD release party. And all of a sudden, my oldest kid mom pops up and say, "Hey, you have a 12-year-old, and then I was pregnant with Tony, Tony, my son that works at the East Dispensary. His mother was pregnant with him, and then she pops up, and then Nico's mother is at the party as well. So it was a shock to all of us. And like I said, we'll dive my story is really, and as well as Kelly, we have some interesting content that we can talk about, because we've been in these streets. We've been to prison. We have all the street credibility, like the young kids say. I've dove into the rap industry. I'm back in it with my sons again. So all all those things we can dive into and give a little perspective on. We can give our perspectives on different situations, the way we feel about how America is shaped with, with Black Dad Code right now, and some of the things we want to see get better in our communities.
Okay, Kevin, question for you. When you came into your household and Via already had Darius and already had Via, okay, we always talk about blending the family, but I want to know the dynamics of you relating with Darius, because it's different with a boy. Like a young girl, if you're sweet and kind, she see that to her mother, she's more loving, but the son, because y'all have a great relationship now. And so what did you do to foster that?
So one thing with Darius, because Darius was a little bit older. Via, my stepdaughter, she was 3 when we first got together. Darius was 10 or 11. So at that point, Darius had a relationship with his father, and me coming in, I wanted to make sure you knew that I wasn't trying to take his dad's place. I wanted to be Kevin, but I still wanted to be somebody who he could talk to. There's a couple of times where I've always tried to give him information and just give him life advice, whether it's be stuff that I failed on and trying to give him a token, or just like I said, to just let him know something too, where hey, that might not go in your best interest. A lot of times I think he kind of just went by the wayside, but the older he got, I see he kind of saw that I wasn't just feeding the flow. And so I think that's where it really kind of came, because there's some things where maybe him and his father got in the deals, and I would always try to give him some perspective and insight. And so, but like I said, I never tried to take over his dad's role. I just wanted to be that male figure that he could see inside the house that we were at, and just kind of give him all the information that I had. So,
Awesome. Okay, so when you heard the idea about starting Black Dad Code, what made you interested in wanting to be part of this?
So the biggest thing that got me just hyped about it, because right now, Black Dad Code is just making it cool to be a father and just be there with your kids. And that's one thing too, we need to celebrate that. That's a good thing, man. If we can get that back and have men just really be excited about being in their kids' life, that's gonna build so much to our future generations and stuff like that. That's one thing too that I feel like we've lost in the last generation. We just kind of lost it, but just making it be cool to be a dad again and be back in. And like I said too, man, that's just really gonna help build our future, and just really help empower the kids from where they're moving, and just really set them ahead of where they would be not having that. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And same to you, Chuck. What made you want to be a part of this forum?
I wanted to be a part of the forum because, I have 6 sons, and I know sometimes it can be difficult talking to sons, and from every age, because I have like a 9-year-old, 15-year-old, 23-year-old, 25, 30-year-old, and it can be different when they have kids, because my oldest son has kids, and it can be difficult talking to each layer of kid, and I wanted to be able to give that perspective as a dad dealing with all those level of kids, and say, that it's heartwarming to me that dads are getting out now, because most of my friends are fathers, most of my brothers are fathers, and they've always been a part of their kids' lives. And we've always been, but we need to get back to other men being a part of their kids' life, no matter how they feel about the woman. If they're not with the woman, if the relationship with the woman is bad, we still need to put the kids first, put everything else second. Family first. Point blank.
Like I said, everything we do before family, but nothing before family.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And what made me want to be a part of this show was, it originally started out because I was able to get sole custody of my daughter, and I had to go through courts, and I had to fight and battle, and I ended up helping 2 other friends get custody of their daughters. Mm-hmm. So it started out at first like this sole custody dad, thought in my mind, man, because some people didn't know how to file. Some dudes, they pay child support, but they don't get visited.
Right.
They don't know that they got to go to court and get a visitation schedule. And then once you get that visitation schedule in place, then if the mother doesn't bring the child, she's in contempt of court.
Right.
Now you got access. So the first to start out, first me thinking about the legal aspects to giving men their rights who wanted to be with dads.
Exactly.
But then as I got to talking to more dads about it, I started looking at it way broader than that. Yes, we got to cover that part, but also the raising them, the being there. I even want to talk to dads that are not in their kids' lives because I want to hear from them, their perspective. We all assume and guess why those things are, but I want to actually know their perspective because until we know their perspective, we can't know how to even fix it or move forward.
Right.
So I just looked at it like, how can we enhance the experience and the knowledge of being a black father? How can we take that wisdom from the older dads and bring it to relate to the problems of the younger people? Because they have different problems nowadays than we did.
Right, exactly.
You know, everything is different. Like, for example, you know, how did COVID change your family life?
So, you know, COVID, it made it to where you didn't really get to see your family as much. So you didn't get to see, I didn't get to go see my mom. My wife didn't get to go see her mother. So the kids weren't get to see their grandmas and cousins and stuff like that. So I think it just made it to where people really kind of really enjoyed that time whenever you got to see your family again. Just enjoy it. I know one thing I saw in your family and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You guys did like a podcast deal. And so I thought that was the coolest thing, just to be able to see your family. But then you had to be creative during that time. But like I said to you, it just made it too where you didn't take that time for granted. And so.
Right. I thought COVID brought our family back tighter too, like you said, because you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anything. And I wanted my daughter to still be able to play and have those relationships with her cousins. So like you said, we would all go in like on Facebook Messenger, and we call everybody in the family and be in one huge group message, and not put it on the TV. Yeah. And so like we're all like just kicking in the living room, laughing, joking on holidays. Mm-hmm. Then the kids all got Xboxes, so we all got them subscriptions to where they could play. We made a group where they all could play online together and talk to each other. So they play the games all day, every day, and talk, and then they brought in some of their friends. So they got their own little world and community going on online. But even with that, you have to regulate differently. Now I gotta watch for predators and online things and stalking and making sure she's not looking at inappropriate material and then little boys coming in and all of that. And you gotta monitor online now. It ain't like you looking and seeing them. Mm-hmm. So, but COVID definitely changed how the families, I think, interact. I think it brought it better. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that it brought the families closer together because then the time at the dinner table came back of you having dinner with your family, even it's just, the family getting together on a Sunday, everybody having dinner, even the uncles, the cousins, the nephews, the nieces and stuff, just getting together, on that aspect of the family just growing closer together. I think it was good for the black family. Yeah. Because we're so, after the grandmother or the great-grandmother passed away, it seemed like a lot of the black families break up because she was the one glue that was holding everything together. She was the one making sure that, hey, we're going to do Thanksgiving at X, Y, and Z. Yeah. You cook this, you cook that, you do this, you do that, and that brought the family closer together. And I think in COVID, that helped out a lot because it gives the other people responsibilities. Now that the grandmother's gone, say the auntie or the other person take control of that situation, even the uncle, because my brother has kind of taken control of that, aspect, because our mother has moved away to, Savannah, Georgia, and she was that rock that we always leaned on, that, organized things like that. And he's took that helm and be like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, we need to do this, and everybody come together, and make it happen. And that's what COVID, did for my family.
And see, all those things are great things with Black Dad Code. Mm-hmm. Because Black Dad Code, at the end of the day, it's about family. Mm-hmm. And it's about the black man's role in his family.
Right, exactly.
That's the essence of what this podcast I want to be about.
Yeah.
Is how do we promote our families better from the black dad's perspective?
Yeah. And another thing that, now Kelly, tell me, is your daughter involved in any sports or activities and stuff like that?
Yes. Okay, I have a 13-year-old daughter. Her name is Amira Major, and she painted this beautiful picture over here. This is one of her talents. She likes to paint for just a hobby, just something to do. But I like to always show America that our kids, have gifts and things like that. Just promote anything they do positive. Anything your child do positive, you should want to promote. And even that way, it encourages them to want to do more positive things because they like that acclamation they get from doing it.
Right.
And but back to the question. My daughter, she plays volleyball right now. She plays for the YMCA. She's hoping to make the Jinx high school team. But when she tried out last year, she had been sitting at home playing video games, wasn't athletic, so she didn't make the team.
Right. Yeah, because that's on another level. Because my daughter plays as well, and that can be very competitive and expensive at the same time. But most of those girls been playing, since they were young.
Right, exactly.
So they have all the skill sets and everything.
Right, and that's what happens.
To get up to that level.
Yes.
Or whatever, especially the Jinx and the Broken Arrows and the Booker T's.
Right.
Schools like that. Those girls been playing together for a while.
Right.
So in order for her to what are you doing in order for her to be able, possibly be a part of that team?
So this is what we did. I'd say first, put her in the YMCA league so she could play. Because nothing gets experience better than playing and participating. And then I looked at her physical strengths, so I took her to the gym. And I have her do legs twice a week.
Right.
I have her do core twice a week, and I have her do arms once a week.
Right.
And I watched in the beginning when she first came in on leg presses, she could barely do 10 reps to 60 pounds. Now she does 4 sets of 15 reps to 220.
Right.
And I'm watching the growth difference, and I watched as she became stronger, her play became better. Like, I ain't gonna lie, when she first started playing at the Y, I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna support her and love her, but my girl is not athletic.
Right.
And I really didn't think she was gonna be good at it at all. But as her strength developed and she kept playing, the championship game, she was like the MVP player.
Right.
And she was doing really great. But see, this is what happened, right? She was doing really great, and they played the first season and they had off for Christmas break. And so it's coming back to the next season. She didn't do anything for Christmas break. She's like, oh, I'm good now. She come back after the season and she's like, I'm not so good no more. So we had to get back in the gym. We had to get back on. I had to show her like, okay, you got to be diligent. Like, this is like gonna be your life now. If you want to be an athlete, your life is gonna be conditioning, training, practicing full time, no breaks, no off. Right. Because now look what happened. How you done fell back from taking off this.
But you know what? That was a good lesson though. Good lesson to be learned. I mean, like I said, so she knows like there's no time off. I mean, you might get that little time, but you can't just be taking these long extended times. So, but one thing I like you did instill her with just that work ethic, and that's one thing too. So, granted that she started later, she did get to kind of surpass. Because some of these other girls, they may not start lifting until later on.
Right.
And you've already instilled it into her. So, I mean, she has a leg up in that aspect too. So, but.
Yeah. And like I said, my daughter plays volleyball as well. And then she's on the pom-pom squad, cheer squad, at Booker T. Washington here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, like Wall Street. And and that, to me, for kids to be involved into, sports and activities, that keeps them busy, and that keeps them away from, having an idle mind and getting into different stuff that's out there in the streets.
So what's something we would like to see go away with the black?
Some of the stereotypes.
Yeah.
What are some of the things we like to see go away with the Black Dad community? One of the things I like to see go away is that we don't take care of our children.
Right.
Yeah.
that stereotype.
That's the first thing for me. Gotta go. We do not take care of our children. We do not provide for our children. Yes, some of us don't. Like in any race, some don't.
Right.
But more of us do than don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's perceived that more of us don't than do.
Right. And then and what I'd like to see go away is some of the stereotypes. And, I mean, I love hip hop music or rap music, but some of the music that they're making now is, I'm not gonna say it's trash, but it's all about violence, popping pills, killing your ops and stuff like that. And then all your ops are always the same color as you.
Yeah.
Right. Ops are, they're always in the same neighborhood as you. No one has money so you're killing your ops for pennies, on the dollar for no apparent reason at all. And that's what I would like. I would like to see the direction of the hip hop music change. To not all these radio stations playing murder, kill, pop a pill, and all that. Like, Kanye said it best. I'ma shoot, I'ma fuck your bitch. I'ma kill that nigga. I'ma fuck your bitch. And that's what it's all about. And they gotta get away from that because a lot of the, like you said, a lot of us do take care of our kids or are there to guide our kids, and a lot of people are not. So a lot of these adolescents are taking this music in the wrong way, like they got to go out and do those things that the popular rappers with the big chains are talking about, and they don't have to do that. But the father has to be in the house or have a relationship with the kid to let them know that no, you don't have to do all that. The music is entertaining, the beat sounds good, the rapper has bars, but you don't have to go out and do that stuff that he's.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna play rapper side for a second with you, and I'm gonna throw something back on this because I am a rapper, and then I had a couple of CDs, nothing major, nothing like that, but it's a passion of mine. And from my perspective, when someone is rapping, they're actually telling their story, right? And if their story is pop a pill, kill, that's all they're talking about their story, they're talking about their truth. And they're telling that. Now, what I think, and is that being promoted more than anything? Yes, because it's always a design for us to harm ourselves and not further ourselves. Then there is the desire for the opposite for us too. So this is what I think where Black Dad Code can come in and distinguish then when your kid is hearing that music or society like, okay, he's telling his story and passion of what he's going through. If you take time and you listen to the pain and stuff from the lyrics, do you really want that pain in your life? No. So therefore, we hear the story, we know it's there, we know it's true, but how do we avoid being a part of that story?
Exactly. How do we make it better?
Right. Instead of banning the music or banning the expression or that, how do we take what's being expressed and make it work for us the best way and spin it? So that's what I do when I hear it. I'm like, now I know what I don't want to do.
Yeah. Right. Now you know what you do. Exactly. But I mean, and then some of those kids are telling other people's stories that they've seen in their neighborhoods or whatever, and that's good storytelling, but I'm just saying it's really too much of it. It's not enough of positive. You don't hear back. I mean, I'm not downrighting them or saying anything bad about it. But when we were coming up in the '90s, you had the Public Enemies, the X-Clans. People who did touch on different power. Of power in yourselves or black power.
Do you think that has something to do with the fact that we grew up as children shortly after civil rights? So we still had that black empowerment movement with us, where our kids nowadays don't even know nothing about civil rights.
Right, exactly. That's another thing about Black Dad Code. We need to be able to be there for them to explain that type of music to them. Because we came up in the gangster era, and I'm gonna tell you, I thought I was a gangster. I thought I was Ice Cube. I thought I was, NWA and all this stuff because I didn't have a father figure to tell me, no, you're not a gangster, you're not this, you're not that. So that's what we need to be there for our children and let them know that that's what that some of this music is just for entertainment use only.
Well, Kelly brought up a good point because, like you said too, like if you're hearing this music and then you don't have anybody to tell you or kind of give you that guidance, you take it in a certain way, like Chuck, like how you're saying. But like as Kelly's saying, if we're able to get the kids the information and say, hey, he is just telling his story. Like you said, you look at that too and you say, hey, man, I'm not trying to live that life, and that's one thing too. And so, like, I would take it too. So, my father was in prison when I was growing up.
Right.
You know, the way I took it, I'm like, I damn sure ain't trying to be here. I ain't trying to be in this box. I ain't trying to be in this. And this. So, I think, like you said too, if you got that information and you see that and you say, hey, I don't want that life, it helps you kind of tilt to say, hey, like, maybe that's not for me.
You know, right? That's why it's really how you shape your kids and hold them to anything. For example, I am the owner of Major High LLC. Kevin's the owner of Major High LLC, and we're medical marijuana growers. And when we was growing up, marijuana had a stigma, and it was negative and it was bad. So we was curious about it. We snuck and did it, young smoking and all of this, and we went and used it because we was curious to know about it. But now our children, our daughters are growing up with coming into this grow, and my daughter's smelling, oh my God, it stinks and it's sticky, and I hate touching it, and yuck, and this is medicine, and she don't have no fascination with marijuana because she's growing up with it and she's understanding. So how you grow your children up, what you expose them to, and then how you teach them about it also makes the difference in how then they relate to it later.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. And I like that some of the younger artists are coming, the young boy and them were coming with Stop the Violence campaigns and stuff like that. Like they understand, you know, because Young Boy is one of the biggest streaming artists in the world, along with Drake, and he got a campaign where he stopped the violence now. So they're even waking up to their own music that they usually put out about killing ops and stuff like that. So that's a good thing for me.
Okay, one of the things we're gonna do every show is we got guests, or whether it's just us, is we're gonna introduce something that we think is Black Dad Code, and then something that goes against Black Dad Code. So I want to know from you, then you, and I'll go last. What is something that you think is Black Dad Code?
I think we need to sit down, especially if we got younger kids, you know. If we got kids between the ages of, say, I have a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old, so that's younger kids, and I have older kids, they understand the music now. But those younger adolescents, we need to sit down with them and let them understand the music. You know, hey, these guys are entertainers. Some of the things that they talk about, they've experienced in their own lives, or they've seen somebody else experience that.
So as a Black Dad Code, would that be like we need to communicate better with our children about what they're being exposed
what
to?
they're being exposed to. We need to sit down and talk to our, especially on the music and television, because there's a lot of things going on.
Subliminal messages.
Subliminal messages is going on TV that kids are too young to know that that's, you know, training them to be a certain way. So we as Black fathers need to sit down and talk to our kids about the programming and about the music. Not that the music has to stop and there's nothing bad about it, but we need to sit down as fathers and talk about the music or what you're listening to with your children.
You know, I would say, man, I think it's more, in my opinion, showing it's okay to that sensitive side. I think, Kelly, you talked about too with having a daughter. I think really just tapping in and checking on your kids and just seeing as far as like how they're feeling, and then like I said too, just being able to relate, and like I said too, showing it's okay to really know about your emotions and things of that sort. Because a lot of kids that deal with stuff like that, they really don't know about the emotions or why they feel a certain way, because we don't talk about it. And so they're fighting this fight of something that it can be easily handled, but like I said too, we just don't deal with emotions. We don't talk about feelings and stuff like that because it's considered weak.
You know, just to piggyback on what you're saying, it's just a thought popped in my head. A cool way to maybe relate that is we teach our kids or our families leading by example. There's two emotional yous. There's the outside house emotional you, there's the inside house emotional you. And if as men, we learn how to leave outside hustle emotional us at the door, and we step into the house and we kicking dad emotions in the house.
That's big.
That's Black Dad Code right there. Because that's when you gotta be soft. That's when you gotta be loving. That's when you gotta be nurturing. You know, that's when your soft side and everything that come out. That's where you know what I'm saying. You nothing but love. Then when you step back out that door, you zip the suit back up. Because you know you still gotta be a man in America and a black man at that.
And at the end of the day, that's never gonna change, man. Like I said, we all know what it is, and in some aspects too, we need that. I mean, but in some aspects too, we've kind of negated that. Like I said too, like in the house, we need to be able to be in touch with our sensitive sides, and like I said, that's with loving your wife and loving your daughters and your. So I mean, just showing that love, and then like I said too, maybe like I said, we're showing that. We start to show each other more love. We start to really just bond a little bit more, because it's okay to show a little love. We ain't always got to be super tough all the time. But like I said, too, that's just one.
Us as black men too, we need to get around. I know it's easy to tell your daughter that you love her. You got to reach out to these sons and be like, hey, bro, I love you. You know, I care about what you're doing out there. I love the way, you know, that you're handling school. You know, you're doing a great job in school. We need to acknowledge that how they're doing.
Yes,
you know, you're doing a good job. You know, because I've had a son, you know, that's older, and he, you know, he had a opium problem, whatever, and he took him among himself to be like, hey, I need to go get some help. So he put himself in rehab, you know what I'm saying, in order to better himself. And that made me proud of him. Like, hey, notice that what he was doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I need to go out and get some help, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go out and get some help and help, you know, in order for y'all, you know, somebody to keep telling me about it.
We have to realize opioids, drugs, crime, all this stuff, these are all traps put in our communities to trip us up.
Right.
And nobody's going to run through the field and don't step in traps at some point, because they're laying all out in the field in life.
Right.
So it's a life, you're going to fall in some, even if it's a business trap or this, you're going to run into fall in the traps. So we can't get knocked by the fact we fall in the traps. It's that once you fall in the trap, how do you recover and get back up and move back on?
How do you keep
moving on? Because there's always going to be traps no matter how far, as long as you keep walking through this field. Right. And one of the things I want to see be Black Dad Code is, this is a podcast and we're talking about it, but I want to be about action. I want to see us, let's lead by example.
Right.
The best way you teach somebody is you show them.
You show them. You do the thing.
Yeah, you do the thing. You know, and I'm a New Yorker.
Right.
And when I was growing up, we had a thing is if you don't call it, it didn't count.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just what it is. Oh, nigga, you got lucky.
Right,
you got lucky. You know, you ain't got them skills like that. So, yeah, everything. It started off with basketball, but it came to every part of life. If you didn't call it, you didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And don't say it if you ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
So there was two like principles as a kid. It's crazy what things stick with you and what don't. But those two things stuck with me in my hood, and from my hood, and I carry it. You know what I do. I tell you what I'm gonna do first, and then I do it.
Exactly.
So you can't say when I did it was luck, because I tell you I'm about to do whoop, 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 but I don't say it till I'm ready to do it. Right. You know what I mean? I don't say it, but once I say it, I have an obligation to do it. But by leading by example and just walking, doing what I do, so many people come up to me and tell me I teach them things because they just can watch me do it. Right. So we all talking about it, and we're gonna keep talking on this podcast, but if you put your actions actually into play and you make your actions be about Black Dad Code,
right, you can't fail.
You can't fail.
So the code would be like what the younger kids say: stop capping.
No cap.
No cap.
No cap.
No cap. No cap.
Yeah.
No cap. You know, you gotta do it and say what you do and do what you say. Point blank.
Okay. Yeah. Something else I want to talk about is a tough question. It's a Black Dad Code tough question. And I'm gonna ask them every week because the tough questions gotta be asked.
Gotta be asked.
What was your relationship with your fathers and your grandfathers, if you even had one?
I'll start. To this day, and that's why I wouldn't put it on my kids. To this day, I never knew who my father was. I I've never met him, had a conversation with him, none of that. And I said, like I said, I have 10 different kids by 7 different women. And I said that I would never put a kid through that. At least those kids will know who I am. They'll be able to meet me. They'll be able to reach out to me if they need anything. And to this day forward, I have communication with all 10 of those kids.
Do you know your grandfather on
I
your
don't
mother's
know.
side?
No.
So you know no grandparents.
I know a
And-
grandmother that my mother who adopted me, which is my cousin's mom who took care of me. I know who that grandmother is, but as far as that, it's no family tree, no history.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
So mine's is a little, so with my father, him and my mother, they split up when I was maybe 5 or so. Me being older now, and I'm glad I get to see my father, some of the stuff that his decision making, because I see why I make the same decisions. But so my father wasn't around just because they split up. My father ended up getting in some trouble, ended up going to prison a few stints. But you know what though? Even though he wasn't there, I knew he loved me. So it was tough because I had to learn a lot of stuff from my mom, and I didn't get the male aspect of it. But I knew my dad loved me. He didn't make the right decisions all the time. So it is what it is. Whenever he got to get his stuff together, I mean, like I said, our relationship is awesome now. And that's one thing too. I love to see too. And even with anybody who feel like, hey man, I haven't been in my kid's life, I can't. Man, you can always, that relationship can always change. It'll have a different, it'll be a different shape of it. So we have a great relationship now. He's a great grandfather. And I love that. And my son gets to see.
Your son gets to have something you didn't get to have.
Exactly.
Now,
So-
about the other question, you know your grandfathers.
Yeah. So my mom's side, I do, and my grandfather, he's 90. I think he's 80. I think he turns 89 this year. So I got to see him. He was in the Air Force. He's actually retired Air Force. So I always looked at him as like this strong, my brother. But like I said, with him, I always looked up to him just because he's always had that presence. Now my dad kind of had the same situation I did. He didn't really get to deal with his father till late in life, and so like I said, you see how that stuff kind of
Generational
Yeah.
curses.
So-
Generational curses. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
and
That's what we need to
We
work.
breaking. That's what Black Code is about. Breaking the generational curses of fathers not being there.
And so that's exactly what you got to see where that happens. Because like I said, my dad didn't get to have that, and then we kind of did that. But like I said too, I promised myself whenever I had my children, or whenever I have my son now, that he would know grandfathers. I would be in the life. So like I said too, that's just one thing too. So yeah.
I was blessed to have my mom and dad were married. They didn't divorce till after I was grown. And so I grew up with my dad there. I knew his dad, my grandfather on my dad's side. He was older, but he lived in Virginia, so I didn't get to interact with him much. We would just go and visit, but I knew I had a granddad. My grandfather on my mom's side was killed. And in the South by a white man. So which is why I think I grew up with sort of that like nobody's better than me mentality, and I'm gonna make it in this world and show y'all that I come from such genes. You know, that sort of come out of me because of that. I know he was killed for not being. He had his own farm and everything. So.
Yeah.
My family was good workers, good people, and we moved to the city, and we grew up in New York, and we had to adjust, and we had to make it. But my dad was there, and when I went to my friends' houses, their dads weren't there.
Right.
So a lot of my friends grew up in my house, and my dad was the father figure to a lot of my friends growing up.
Right.
And I see how that made a difference in our lives. At least we had something where some had father figure where some had none.
Yeah.
And I can see that, but still, none of us sitting here had it all. None of us here had dad, both grandparents. We don't know that.
Yeah.
And I don't know many black men that know that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of why the community is kind of torn apart, because it takes generational, wealth in order for sustaining these families. You know what I'm saying? Something has to be left behind for the next
Right.
person.
Taught, knowledge,
Something has to be
wisdom.
taught. Wisdom, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that wisdom, man, gosh,
And that should be another
like I
code
said,
that we
too.
have. You know, that should be a code that we have. We need to start, you know, us as black fathers or black men, in order that we need to be grandfathers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or try to become great grandfathers.
Right.
In order to make
Right.
that tree have some longevity.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So that should be a code that we should establish.
Exactly, because like, what was your community like growing up?
I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, so if everybody, you know, and then it was back in the 70s and 80s. Well, I grew up in Los Angeles, so it was a lot of gang banging. We used to us, everyday situation was getting shot at by rival gang members. You know, the 60s, I lived in Hoover Hood. I grew up in Hoover Hood. So the 60s would come, you know, shoot up our neighborhood on a regular basis. We could be sitting on the wall outside on Hoover, which we always did, you know, 70th and Hoover, where my Aunt Rosie had a house at. They would just come in, and we thought it was just an everyday occurrence. Not that it would bring PST, whatever you call it, PS, you know, to us as older men, because I always carry a gun. I don't go nowhere without my gun. I never have since I was 15 years old. So, and that probably instilled in me that I needed to do that, because that's all we knew. That's all we knew growing up.
Jack, it's crazy that you say that because, you know, my dad's side of the family was from California.
Right.
So
Yeah.
once we moved to Oklahoma and I go back out west and we hear the drive-by, and I'm like, oh, what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
It didn't matter to them. They was like, oh, it's just drive-by. I'm
Well,
like,
it's just like that's something that happened. I mean, that's what we
I'm shook. They
on
were
a regular basis. That's what we heard in our neighborhoods, laying in the bed, and helicopters, and sirens. You know, it was an everyday occurrence, not knowing that it probably ruins.
And you know what's crazy too is because that wasn't my neighborhood, that was my community. I came from a good middle upper class black community, Greenburgh, Westchester County, New York, 914. I was born in Peekskill. I went to school in Greenburgh, ran around the White Plains, Port Chester, Elmsford, New Road, Mount Vernon, you know. But I came from a good community, so when I first came in the military, and I came out west of Oklahoma, and we chilling on the block, you know what I'm saying? The dudes drove by and shot, woo woo. I was like, yo, yo. And it was like, oh, it's just a drive-by.
It was just a drive-by.
What? Like, and then what was even crazier was, yeah, that was my cousin Harold. You know, he claimed blood, I claimed Crip. What do you mean your cousin Harold just came by and shot up your auntie's house?
No, I noticed that once I got to Tulsa, Oklahoma too, from Los Angeles, is that these guys was related and they was shooting at each other. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Because back in LA, you wasn't related to people. You was related, y'all ran in the same circles.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? You was related. And it was different when I came down here. And I have to say, I was really part of the problem, you know, because I brought my mentality here to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
So, you know, I knew, and when I got here, it was like 82, 83. And it really wasn't none of that going on. So I kind of was part of the problem.
Right.
As, you know, but as I got older, I didn't want my sons to be part of the problem because I took them back to where I grew up with. And they was like, ooh, we never want to live. They took Nico, Charles, and back to those neighborhoods. And I'm going to be taking them, you know, I'm going to be taking my little rap group back because we have a show in California in March.
Okay.
And like I tell them, LA is a whole nother different.
What's the name of the rap group your son
It's
got?
GRE, the Enterprise, you know. So when they doing their thing, they have a lot of different content that's K-packed and put together, a lot of different videos for them and stuff like that. So you can go online and catch them on YouTube, GRE, the Enterprise. And they, you know, they doing things right now. But I'm gonna take them out west and, you know, experience, you know, some of that what's going on out there because we have a show. We trying to do all the cannabis, you know, since we're in the weed industry or whatever, you and I, we try to do all the cannabis festivals and stuff like that. And we have a cannabis festival coming up with All Access, and we're gonna, you know, be out there with Corrupt and Lil Xan and them performing. You know, we just left Vegas in October with Spice One and them and Lil Xan, you know, smoking some powerful ass weed. Right. that gave us Spice One had some weed that knocked us on our ass. Like, ooh, take this back. Even my bodyguard was like, ooh, no, I don't want no more of this.
Now, I grew up in Westchester County, in New York. I was born in Peekskill, and then at 10 years old, I moved to Greenburgh. I went to Woodlands High School. Now, I lived in what was called Granada Crescent. It was condominiums. My mom and dad hustled and worked their butt off to move us to a better neighborhood, a better environment. But my cousins were all from the projects. I related to everything in the projects, and I didn't really acclimate with the kids in my neighborhood as well as I did with the kids in the projects. So I would walk from my nice neighborhood to the projects every day. But you gotta understand, this is back in the 70s and 80s, right? I'm the rich kid in the projects. The rich kid in the project, nobody like you because I come in, I got new shoes, I got new clothes. So all the girls are like, ooh, that's Kelly, you live in Granada. So the boys instantly want to beat you up. It was just, I beat up a lot when I was growing up because, because I jumped out there. Older dudes was beating me up. Really, my age group, I wasn't really getting beat up by my age group. And we was kicking and having fun. I was getting beat up by the older dudes, and I didn't know it. It's because I was stepping on their toes.
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? They out there hustling because they gotta eat. I'm out there hustling because I like hustling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm home, my family cook, everything is so and I didn't realize when I was young why I was in conflict with them because I was taking out their mouths. But what I did realize when I was young, I'm better at this than y'all know. I'm better at this. Like, shoot, you might have was born on the block, but I am the block. Like, I understand. And I just stayed, and then I started getting friends and all, and I started looking at my friends struggling. And at the time, I'm a Muslim, and I was hearing the nation speak and black unity and things like that. And those things resonated with me, and knowing the story of my family from the South. So I was like, how can I be comfortable and my best friends are not comfortable?
Right.
How can I be living in this nice neighborhood but they struggling? So I jumped into the struggle of my friends and learned they struggle and walk their way of life. And we got out of that because then we found like, oh shoot, we can make money doing this, doing that, doing this. So I had a group of friends who lived in the projects, but we went all around Westchester County making money legit. Yeah. We would sell snow, we would clean alleys, and then we started just running around, me, Gary Carrerio, Matt Davis, but before them, Anthony Hall, Paul Lucas, me and David Van Dava, Dwayne Walker, all of us friends, we was all over the city. We would go to Harlem, but nobody else would go to Harlem. We go to Harlem and get our clothes. Oh, wow. And we wanted to be clean as Run DMC and everything. We live in Westchester County in the suburbs. Yeah. We would jump on the train Saturday morning and shoot into Harlem, and there was only a few of us brave enough to be going to Charlotte because literally when you come out the stores, they bothering people like taking their gear from them. And if they would have knew we were some little rich kids from Westchester, they would have short took our stuff. Exactly. But we had that mentality like, ain't nobody taking nothing. We going to Harlem to shop, and we was running all around the city, and we was going everywhere. So I learned at a young age that I could take my show on the road.
You could take your show.
I could go to any hood in America and be me.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't born in the hood, because I'm a black man, and at the end of the day, I see our struggle, don't want to be in the struggle, but how can we elevate out the struggle? That's what I'm about, and that's how I go into every community. And that's what I got for growing up is, how do we unite and keep pulling each other up out the struggle? Because we know the traps was made for us. And how can I know a trap was made for me and you fall into it just because I didn't be like, the hell with you and leave you there? That same trap was set for me.
Same trap, yeah.
It was set for both of us. I just didn't fall in it, you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I reach back in, I'll help pull you out the trap, we keep each other out the trap, and then eventually we start filling them traps back in.
Yeah, because nothing is forever.
Right, because nothing is forever.
You can't go out there and sell dope forever. You can't gang bang forever. You can't do none of that stuff forever. It's a expiration date on everything.
Right. Okay, check this out. I personally, this is one of my personal opinions. I think a dad's role when the child is young is love, discipline, and guidance. And then as the child becomes an adult, it still stays with love, but with wisdom and support.
Right.
What do you guys think a dad's role is from being in the child's and then also as the adult?
I think you started off right as a young role. Love is always number one. And like you said too, when kids are young, they're going to test. They're going to test everything. So there has to be that issue of discipline there. So, and like you said too, it doesn't have to be in a deal where you're beating kids down. It may be a look, it may just be that stern voice, but I mean, it has to be some kind of discipline there. And then, like I said too, just building from that, when they get older, the discipline's there, the wisdom is what you need. And the wisdom just, it lets you fall into those traps. So like I said too, just giving that wisdom to keep them from losing years and just having to spend 10 years doing this and then go backtrack. So.
And that's me too. You touched on it. It is, as the younger kids, they do need love, guidance, and that's what they need most, in order to guide them so they won't fall into those traps. And my biggest thing is with my kids, I always be like, hey, I've been there and done it already. Yeah. I've seen, here's the end result to that. If you keep doing it like that, here's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? If you do it that way. I've never had, one of my kids get out and try to, do as I did, because I've sold, drugs all over the, over the U.S., as well as yourself, Kelly. We've been in some places where, no other has, been. And I always tell any of my sons, I already did that.
Right, exactly.
You don't want to do that, because here's where it leads. I've been in prison in a couple of states. And all that. So that's what I'm glad I've been shot at a couple of times. I've been robbed people. But you don't want to do that, because karma is the beast. And we'll come back and track you back down. And
the greatest thing about our stories and where we're at right now, our generations, we survived the round of traps that was set for us.
Exactly.
I don't look at that negative that we fell into, whatever trap, whatever thing negative we went through, because they were laid for us.
Yeah.
But we survived. So now, as survivors, like I said, we start closing the traps, we start doing away with the things. So my question to you is, what challenges do we face today as a black dad?
I think the biggest thing is just a stigma of, like I said too, is just black dads, they're not there. I mean, and then it rubs off where I think it's become more even too, and I hate to put this out, I feel like the black female even kind of believes that. Now, that's a sad deal because like I said too, that unity of us together, it's only stronger, but the stigma that the black dad doesn't care, doesn't want to be there, that's just one thing too. That's a tough stigma to break, and that's one thing too. That's why we got this podcast to address that.
We definitely got to get our women back championing us. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of black women that champion us.
Yeah, and then like I said, black women. Like I said, we love y'all. And like I said too, I come from a single mother. And like I said too, women, you guys will always have your place. You always can be the most special. There's nothing like a black woman. But like I said too, but when you get those two powers together, that can't be stopped. So like I said too, more power to all the black mothers and stuff and all you do. But like I said too, just
it's like, yes, you're strong enough to do it on your own. You was forced to become that way. But we do it so much better when we do it together.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly.
And that's the whole thing of what we need to stop is the stigmatism is family. Family can't work together. Family can't do this together. And that's wrong, because I work with my family on a regular basis every day. I work with my sons, my nephews, my sons' kids and everything. We might have our ins and outs sometimes. We might, like any family do, in any business, But the thing is that we sit down and talk about it.
Exactly.
We always sit down and talk about it. And I want to, give shouts out to all the black single women and single mothers who have generations have raised the kids on their own. But I'm gonna say this to that is that the black men could do it as well if we would have been given the support. The government came in and made y'all able. If they didn't give y'all food stamps, housing, and kick us out,
right,
I don't think black women would be as strong as they are.
Right, it was a design.
Not taking it away from them or anything, but you had an aid. They didn't give us no aid. They wanted us out of the home. We could be with you.
But
if it was on the low,
right,
we had to hide. I remember being, helping my baby mama, do all kind of different things. But when the man came to do the inspection, my clothes couldn't be there. If they were, they was going to kick her off Section 8 or whatever. And I'm like, we don't even need to be on this. We both need to get jobs, so we won't even have that guy in our business, or we even have to address him. And mothers need to get away from that. Today's mothers need to get away from that if they want their child's father in their life, because it's mainly that systematic thing that's taking fathers out of the home, and the ladies are biting on that. Yeah, because it takes care of them, and it helps take care of them in the long run, but in the long run it hurts the kid.
Right. Well, there it is. Black man, black fan, black fam.
All right.
Thank you for viewing Black Dad Code. On the next episode, we will be interviewing the Midwest BJ.
Midwest BJ. Yeah.
Black Dad Code.
Black Dad Code.